Welcome to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and today I'm bringing you my August TBR. How are we doing with TBR? Well, apart from books that I have added to my TBR in the month of July, I'm pretty much nearly there. Nearly there. Last month, as you will hear in my reading wrap-up when it goes up, when I film it, it was a pretty good reading month. I just did a lot of mood reading, and I did manage to read all of the things that I wanted to, bar my rereads. I'm going to cut to the point. Basically, I have some rereads that have carried over. I don't know if this will be 100% accurate. Cards on the table, I'm filming this on the 30th of July, so there is the rest of today and tomorrow where I might read one of those rereads, so take all of this with a pinch of salt. Right, I just want to get into the books. So I'm going to start with the potential rereads carrying over from last month because I talked about them in last month's TBR video, so I won't go into these in too much detail. I have The Graces by Laura Eve, I have Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab, and Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. One of those may have been read before. I will let you know in my wrap-up. All YA fantasy, interestingly. Well, a little bit of YA urban, a little bit of YA. I don't know what you would count The Graces as, contemporary meets fantasy. But then we get on to more exciting things that you've not heard about before. I have 3 review copies on my TBR at the moment. They are all NetGalley. They've all been sent to me for review. Nobody's paying me to talk about them, but I'm really excited about all 3 of them actually. I have Court of Lions by Samara Dowd. This is the sequel to, I won't waft it at you. This is a sequel to Mirage, which I read and enjoyed in March, April? I'm going to say April, but it might have been May. It's fantasy meets sci-fi YA, and it's really enjoyable. I can tell you something about it though. This is out on the 6th of August from Hodder and Stanton, so I need to get to it pretty soon if I want to have a review up in a timely manner. It is a sequel to Mirage, so I'm not going to get into the details because I think it'll spoil things in Mirage for you. Yeah, Mirage is a good recent read. If I remember, I will link the vlog where I talk about it. Then I have The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth. This is new standalone, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone. This is out on the 20th of September from Galanx. I wasn't a huge fan of Garth Nix's latest Galanx offering, which was of course Angel Mage. I'm holding on to it because I might reread it, but I'm not totally convinced I'm going to, so I'm a bit nervous about this one. It sounds like it could be really good, but I haven't enjoyed Garth Nix's adult stuff yet, so it's kind of my, I don't know, what's the term, Hail Mary for do I keep reading those? Quest to Find Father, Magical Fighting Booksellers. Yeah, I could be very surprised by this and love it. Something about it feels off to me, and I don't quite know what that is yet. And then the review copy I'm most excited to get to is obviously going to be A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I'm so excited for this. I may die. This is out on the 29th of September from Cornerstone, and I'm so excited to get to it. It's a school, but you graduate or you die, but in the sense of like those are not options you have, those are just the things that will happen. Magic, evilness, what was the quote? A main character with dark power, strong enough to level mountains and wipe out untold millions. Yes. I talked about that in a recent fantasy tag that I did, which I will also link. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. This is actually a pretty quick TBR because most of the stuff I've talked about. I then have 2 books that I bought recently, somewhat on a whim. Don't really have justification for it beyond I wanted them. Well, one of them has a story behind it. The first one I picked up was A Song of Wraith and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. Because I'd seen it everywhere and it sounded really good and I knew I wanted to read it, and then I was making an order for the other book anyway and it came up and I was like, do kind of want that. So this is YA fantasy, which I think all I buy seems to be YA fantasy. It's interesting. We've got someone trying to resurrect their mother through ancient magic, always good. Someone trying to kill a crown princess, contest. It sounds like it's going to be a really good YA time, and I enjoy a really good YA time, so that's on the list. And then the other book I picked up, because the author was tweeting about how this is not getting a paperback release, and that made me really sad. Not because I've been planning to buy the paperback, but because it felt sad and unsupported. So I decided to pick up the hardback of Julie C. Dow's Song of the Crimson Flower. I know Justine has read this and really liked it. It's a nice little short hardback. I think this is YA as well. I absolutely adored Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. It was such a slam dunk for me. Loved it. Don't remember what happened in the second one as much, if at all. Wealthy nobleman's daughter rejecting the poor physician's assistant. Magic music, I think, is going to be in this, mainly because of the song in the title. But this sounded really cool and I wanted to read it. And it's been on my list for a while and now I'm going to get to read it. Beautiful books belong on my shelf. So now we're on to my reread jar, because that's everything that's on my TBR except for my secret shame, which lives up here, that one day I will talk about. So I pulled out from my reread jar and I ended up pulling both The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon and The Song Rising by Samantha Shannon were both in my reread jar. And so to fill the gap, because it makes absolutely no sense to read books 1 and 3 when I have a smaller TBR than normal, I've added in the Mime Order, which is book 2 of The Bone Season. So I'm only gonna hold up one. So this is a YA fantasy, somewhat paranormal-ish series that Samantha Shannon started writing when she was at university in Oxford. So the first book takes place in Oxford, the second book is in London, and the third book is in another location that I can't remember because it's been probably 2 years since I read the book. And maybe it's still London. I have a vague recollection of her going to Europe, but maybe I'm making that up. I liked these a lot when I first read them. Bone Season was one of my insomnia reads from very early on when I was blogging. I was reading back through the review the other day. Paranormal stuff, clairvoyance, gangs. It's an interesting alternate world. I don't think I'm going to enjoy them as much the second time around, but I know that the fourth one is coming next year, so I thought, why not give them a go again and make decisions based on how I feel about them now. Basically, I've just read a lot more YA now, but I did really enjoy Priory of the Orange Tree, which is just behind me. Da-da-da-da. So I definitely like Samantha Shannon's writing. I just don't know whether I'll like how young this is. The other 3 books I pulled out of my rereads jar were, I have Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Melissa Bashar-Doost. This, I think, is quite timely because her new book, Veil Serpent Thorn, released last month, releases in August. I think it released in July, and this is her previous book, which I read when I first started blogging. Again, we're getting back to some older titles, but I really, really loved it. This has 16-year-old Mina is motherless, and her heart has never beat at all, but she always thought that was normal. Mina never guessed that her father had cut out her heart and replaced it with one made of glass. I remember really liking the stepmother-stepdaughter relationship that formed in this book and how that was played out. I remember liking it a lot, but I don't remember much else, so I'm excited to get to reread that. I'm surrounded by books at this point. I also have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Again, a fortuitous reread. I'm hoping to put this into my magic, books with cool magic series that I have only made one video for. I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's a series. But yes, this is basically a classic to me at this point. I really love this book. I have an audiobook of it, so I may pick it up in that format. I'm not 100% sure. Fantasy, romance, good times. And then I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which is another one of my all-time favourites, and another one that I've mentioned a couple of times lately. So 2 Naomi Noviks on this TBR. But this is Evil Forest, young girl taken in by crotchety magician, but isn't he a bit handsome though? Yeah, cool magic system, save the world. It's really, really good. I really like what this book does with magic, and I really enjoy the main character. Yes, good stuff. That's everything on my TBR. As far as I can tell, that is 14 books, and if I read any of the 3 overlappy books, it is fewer than that. I have got a Scribd subscription up until the 8th of August that I will then decide whether I want to continue it or not. So I've got some stuff on the go there. I have 1 book on the go there. I am listening to Sophie Hagen's Happy Fat, and I'm really enjoying that. So I don't know when I'll finish that, but that may come into play next month. But I like to have a TBR of about 19 books, so I will be trying to fit in around about 5 other books, maybe more than that, through a combination of rereads, Scribd, the library, random audiobooks, carrier pigeons delivering things to my door, arcs. I don't know. It's going to be a good reading month. In a vlog a few months ago, like probably 2 months ago now, I mentioned how long I thought it would be before I could have an entire month of mood reading, and I'm feeling less like it will be a year away and more like it might be November. So that's pretty good. I think that's everything I wanted to say. This is going to be a very short TBR. That's okay. You don't mind, do you? I'm feeling a bit insecure because I just watched Justine's TBR video and she was very coherent and wonderful, and I've just kind of gone, magic, it's good, but that's fine. I'm not Justine and I never will be, and that's okay. I'm going to get to reading. I'm excited for this month ahead. Let me know if you're reading any of these or what you're reading this month, what's exciting. Have you already read Deadly Education? Please tell me it's good. Please, 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 please tell me it's good. You can also you can follow me on all of my social media. You can send carrier pigeons to my door with books. Actually, maybe don't do that. That would mean giving you my address. Anyway, you can also subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated, and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. Last month, cards on the table. I'm filming this on the 30th of July, and he said October. And Sorcery of Thorns by Roger. What order do I want to do this in, was what I was trying to say. And this is the book that came before that. It's not a prequel. It's not the same series. I don't know what I'm talking about.